It was supposed to be a quiet escape. After losing my job in the city, I just wanted a few days alone, no traffic, no people, no noise. So when I found the cabin listing online, buried deep in some outdated rental website, it felt like fate. Cabin on Pine Lake, $35 per night. Wood stove, private dock, pets welcome. No photos, just a single line. The property has always been in our family. That line should have bothered me, but it didn't. Cheap peace and quiet sounded like a miracle. The drive took 6 hours. The last 40 minutes were through forest so dense my GPS lost signal. The trees were black silhouettes against the orange dusk sky, and my phone had already dropped to 5%. The cabin finally appeared around a bend, wooden, weather-worn, leaning slightly toward the lake. A faint smoke trail rose from its chimney. I assumed the owner had warmed the place before I arrived, but when I stepped inside with him, it was cold. Everything inside smelled of damp wood and ash. The furniture looked hand-carved and ancient, but there was no dust, like someone had just wiped it clean. On the kitchen table lay a small envelope with my name written in fading ink, for the guest. Inside was a single key and a note that said, "The forest remembers every voice that calls its name. Be careful what you answer to." That night, the wind rolled in from the lake like a slow breath. The windows rattled. I tried to sleep, but the sound of water lapping against the dock was hypnotic, almost rhythmic. Then, at around 1:47 a.m., I heard it. A voice, soft, coming from outside, greater than, "Ethan!" It said my name. I froze. I hadn't told anyone where I was going. The voice came again, quieter but closer, greater than, "Ethan, come down to the water." I got up and looked out the window. The dock was barely visible through the fog, but something was standing at the edge of it. A silhouette, perfectly still. Then, the lights in the cabin flickered, and across the lake I saw another light flicker in perfect sync. But there were no houses on the other side. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat by the window, eyes locked on the fog-covered dock until dawn finally broke. The lake looked normal in daylight, calm, still, mirror-like. No figure, no footprints, just a quiet shoreline and a few ripples brushing the wooden planks. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. Almost. After breakfast, I went outside to look around. The woods were unnervingly silent. No birds, no insects, just wind moving through dead pine branches. That's when I saw it. Something carved into the side of the cabin, just under the kitchen window. "I hear ya." The letters were jagged and deep, fresh enough that wood shavings still clung to the grooves. I stared at it for a full minute, half expecting it to move. I should have packed up and left right then, but I didn't. By late afternoon, fog began rolling back in from the lake. I built a fire and tried to distract myself with a book I found on the cabin shelf, Local Legends of Pine County. There was a section about an old logging village that had once surrounded Pine Lake in the 1920s. Apparently, a logging accident flooded the area, drowning half the town. Most of the bodies were never recovered. The story claimed that the voices of the drowned could still be heard at night, calling the names of those who disturbed the forest. I felt my stomach twist. The note on the table, the voice, the reflection light, it all lined up. That night, I made sure to lock every door and window. I even moved a chair under the handle. Then I tried to sleep with my flashlight in hand. Around 2:15 a.m., I woke to scraping sounds under the floorboards, like someone was crawling beneath the cabin. Then came the voice again, closer this time, greater than, "Ethan, open the door." I froze. The voice was coming from inside. I turned the flashlight toward the door, and the knob was turning slowly, back and forth like someone testing it. When it stopped, I heard something wet hit the floorboards near my feet. Drip, drip, drip. I looked down. A trail of muddy footprints led from the door to the window fresh, as if someone had just walked through. The fire went out all at once, and then, through the black, I heard whispering. Dozens of voices now. Men, women, children, all whispering in unison, greater than, "We remember your voice." By morning, the world felt hollow. The firewood was damp, my phone was dead, and I swear the trees had crept closer overnight. Their branches now leaned toward the cabin like they were listening. I packed my bag and decided to leave. No breakfast, no second thoughts. I didn't even bother locking the door. The dirt road that led back to town was overgrown but still visible. For the first mile, everything was silent except my boots crunching the frost. Then, I started hearing it again. Whispers, not behind me, around me. They weren't calling my name this time. They were repeating it over and over in a dozen different tones. Some sounded like my own voice, greater than, Ethan, Ethan, Ethan. I picked up my pace. The trees blurred on either side. The road forked unexpectedly, even though it hadn't before. The left path looked newer, almost carved by hand. That's when I saw the cabin again. It was standing at the end of the new path, chimney smoking faintly. I froze in disbelief. I had walked for nearly 2 hours. There's no way I had circled back. But when I checked my watch, it was 1:47 a.m. I had left at dawn. The front door creaked open by itself. Inside, the air smelled different now, damp and metallic like rusted blood. I could hear faint water dripping somewhere below. Against every instinct I had, I stepped inside. The cabin interior was not the same. The furniture was rotted, the wallpaper peeled away in black streaks, and on the table lay a new envelope. It read, "You called to us first." Inside was another note, this one torn in half, like it belonged to the first. It said, "The forest only answers those who belong to it." Then, from under the floorboards, I heard the sound again, crawling, wet, slow. I dropped the note and ran for the door, but when I pulled it open, it wasn't the forest outside anymore. It was the lake. Still water stretched endlessly in all directions. The fog was thick, and something was rising from beneath the surface. A shape. 2 hands gripped the threshold from below, pale and dripping. Then a face surfaced, my own. It smiled. "Now you remember too." I don't remember how long I stood there, staring at myself, half submerged, smiling up through the fog. The water was whispering now, dozens of voices layered beneath the sound of waves. My flashlight flickered and died, but the reflections on the lake kept glowing faintly blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. The other me spoke again, greater than, "You called to us first, Ethan. You wanted silence. You wanted peace." I shook my head, stumbling backward into the cabin. "Who are you?" I whispered. It smiled wider, greater than, "We are everything the forest remembers." Then it sank beneath the surface, leaving only ripples that glowed faintly before fading into darkness. The walls of the cabin began to creak. Water seeped through the cracks, filling the floorboards, rising fast. I climbed onto a chair as the muddy water reached my knees, then my waist. The windows shattered inward, and behind the shards of glass, I saw them, faces, hundreds of them, pale, drowned, open-eyed, all whispering my name, greater than, "Ethan, Ethan." Their hands reached through the window frames, grasping the air like they were trying to pull me under. I climbed onto the table screaming, praying, anything, but the voices drowned out every sound. Then, from somewhere deep in the lake, a voice cut through all the rest. It was mine, greater than, "Let it take you." The water rose above my head, and the world went black. When I opened my eyes, it was daylight again. The cabin was dry. My car was parked out front, keys still in the ignition. I thought maybe I'd imagined everything until I saw my reflection in the window. It smiled, but I didn't, and in the faintest echo, from deep inside the woods, I heard my own voice calling back, "Ethan, come down to the water," the end. If this story kept you watching, there's another real horror waiting for you. Click on the screen, and don't watch it alone.